if there's any prospect of any British bill or act of parliament bypassing international law, then I will not support it. We helped craft the ECHR. We were the ones that crafted most of the laws, international laws, after the Second World War. We uphold international law. We don't break it.
This is a very, very difficult situation. It's been bubbling for some time now, really. And I wonder, do you accept that characterisation that Rishi Sunak is absolutely stuck in the middle of his party?
Yes, I do. And I'm very sorry to see where the party now finds itself. After, the turmoil of the last couple of years, Rishi Sunak has actually navigated us into calmer waters. But Rwanda has become almost totemic, if you like, that hill that we have to die on. It was always going to be one part of a wider strategy, one piece of a bigger jigsaw, if you like, in tackling the small boats. But instead, it's really become totemic, a single utopian objective that we have to hang our hat on, and defining us in the next general election. In practice, as we're seeing, this is proving costly, it's legally challenging, and it is ripping our party in half, exposing ideological differences that normally, our broad church can actually manage. And I have to say that if this infighting continues, it will not just cost us the next general election, it will see our party splinter into two between the center right and the far right, between the light blue and the dark blue. So, securing these flights to Rwanda cannot be that prime manifesto commitment which, we hold up at the next general election. It's clearly won't have any material effect, I don't think, when the election comes about. The nation absolutely, I think, wants us to tackle the small boats issue, but we don't, challenge international law to do so. And the way the bill looks at the moment is that we'll have to bypass the ability for our own courts to make a judgment. And should we be judging as to whether another country, should Parliament be judging whether another country, is safe? I do hope that we will take stock of what's going on, put the bill forward, absolutely. But like HS2, if it doesn't pass, then we call it a day. We do not drag this through Parliament, or indeed make it a confidence vote issue. That would be very damaging indeed.
Well, absolutely. But Tobias Ellwood, you're saying that, maybe give it another shove and see if it works. But really, actually, should Rishi Sunak not have seen that this was a poorly thought out idea, a kind of totemic idea, which was formulated 2 Home Secretaries ago, and had the courage to abandon it and actually concentrate on real policies that affect real numbers?
Well, your last point is so important, because there are other policies that we're actually starting to land. The legal migration changes, which I think Labour is more or less going to support, will actually affect net migration by 300,000. I mean, that's a substantial change. But yes, I agree with what you say. This is damaging. It's overshadowing, and then once again, it's taking us, grabbing at the headlines for all the wrong reasons, denying, scrutiny of Labour. People are not seeing what actually Labour stands for. They're just seeing the Tory party once again in civil war. So, the election is far closer than the last one behind us. We're starting to rally around Rishi Sunak. He talked about taking those tough long-term decisions. We need to recognize that the challenge we face is the same as that France, Germany, Italy, Greece, all these other countries are facing as well. There's a more collective approach that I think needs to be pursued if we can't get to this Rwanda bill forward. But the reason why this is here is because of the right. You're about to interview Jacob Rees-Mogg. He will give you another angle to this. And that is the pressure that I'm afraid the executive, number 10, finds itself under at the moment. And it is all about positioning, I'm afraid, for people who are written off not just written off the next election, but also the prospect of us losing if you like, keeping a large majority, minority, if you like, to hold in opposition. And that is defeatist from the very, very start indeed, and isn't what the electorate will appeal to the electorate to vote for us in any form or fashion.
Is Robert Jenrick one of Rishi Sunak's erstwhile ally? Is he one of these people who's written off the next election and he's got his eye on what's next? Or do you think he genuinely feels strongly about this issue?
I think that's something you will have to put to him. He was a very close ally to Rishi Sunak. Why people say what they want to say, knowing it will cause damage to the complexion of the Conservative Party whilst in government. They clearly do that very, very consciously indeed. And we saw that with a personal statement yesterday. These are all unhelpful. As I say, it denies scrutiny of Labour. People aren't aware of what Labour stands for, and that's actually important in a democracy. Instead, week after week, we talk in the tea rooms about let's have a calmer week where we can land sensible policy, where we can actually look forward and show, discipline and confidence and clarity as to what our vision is. Instead, completely overshadowed by the infighting once again.
Finally, Tobias Ellwood, would you say that you're going to keep going with this and you're going to support Rishi Sunak in, perhaps another iteration of this bill? But actually, is it not your responsibility, given what you've just said about the election Armageddon that may await the Conservatives, is it not your responsibility to have a word with Rishi Sunak and say, you know what, the game's up, just abandon this now before it destroys everything?
Well, I think you've actually put words into my mouth to say that I will support this bill. I'm going to look at it very, very carefully indeed. If there's any prospect of any British bill or act of parliament bypassing international law, then I will not support it. We helped craft the ECHR. We were the ones that crafted most of the laws, international laws, after the Second World War. We uphold international law. We don't break it. And this is partly where this bill, the interpretation of this bill may take you. Because if the courts are bypassed in the UK, cases will simply go straight to Strasbourg. So that actually then puts us into conflict, legal conflict on the international stage. That's not what Britain is. Particularly when the world around us is getting more chaotic, there's more international rule breaking. We can't be seen to be adding to that problem, adding to the confusion by breaking international law that we helped craft in the first place.
Okay, Tobias Ellwood, thank you. Tobias Ellwood, Conservative MP, former Defence Minister.